Now, please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
The 2024 election was in full force when something unprecedented in American politics was about to happen.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
A sitting president running for re-election, struggling both before the eyes of the world and in the polls.
It's up to the president to decide if he is going to run.
I'm not going to engage in that hypothetical because Joe Biden is very much alive and running for re-election.
But behind the scenes, forces were pushing the president out. Some were calling it a coup.
We have breaking news here. Breaking news. President Biden will step aside.
He is dropping out
Of the 2024 presidential race.
He is endorsing Kamala Harris as the nominee.
Suddenly, the most unpopular vice president in history had become her party's nominee for president without ever receiving one primary vote.
We are running a people-powered campaign.
New York Times columnist Rich Lowry called her too weak to win the 2024 primary. But throughout her career, one thing is clear. Kamala Harris has always come out on top. But just who is Kamala Harris?
And yeah, I am radical. I do believe that we need to get radical about what we are doing and take it seriously.
You have been called by some a female Barack Obama.
In the next hour, we explore the spectacular and unusual career of a woman driven to the highest levels of American political power. The story of Kamala Harris. Blind Ambition, the Kamala Harris story. Economics student Donald J. Harris arrived at the University of California, Berkeley in the fall of 1961. He was there on a scholarship from his native Jamaica. Berkeley's campus was a hotbed of radicalism in the 60s, and it was against this backdrop Donald met his future wife, India-born Shamala, at a black study group. A couple years later, they married, and in 1964 welcomed a daughter they named Kamala.
She was supposed to return home to a traditional arranged marriage. But as fate would have it, she met my father, Donald Harris.
Donald Harris was described in an article in the Stanford Daily as a Marxist scholar. The Economist noted Harris's father's work was more unashamedly Marxist than anything in modern American politics.
My father would say, as he smiled, "Run, Kamala, run. Don't be afraid. Don't let anything stop you." From my earliest years, he taught me to be fearless.
Some have observed that a popular refrain in Kamala Harris's speeches were inspired by her father's Marxist philosophies.
They taught us that we could do anything and should never be burdened by the limitations of other people to be able or not be able to see what can be. And this is that community who understands and can see what is possible unburdened by what has been.
It's a phrase popular in communist China or the Soviet Union as they remade their countries and unburdened themselves from their values, heritage, or culture of the past. The National Review observed, Harris isn't a carbon copy of her leftist academic dad, but it'd be a stretch to deny at least some similarities.
And I believe you have the ability to see what can be, unburdened by what has been.
But Donald Harris's regular presence in his daughter's life was short-lived. Donald and Shamala divorced in the early 1970s, and a nasty custody battle isolated Kamala and her sister from their father. Kamala's mother temporarily rented an apartment in what was known as the Flatlands of Berkeley, California.
Before she could finally afford to buy a home, she rented a small apartment in the East Bay. In the Bay, you either live in the hills or the flatlands. We lived in the flats. A beautiful working class neighborhood
of firefighters, nurses, and construction workers, all who tended their lawns with pride.
It was here that for 1 year, Kamala Harris participated in integrating her elementary school. But life in the flats of Berkeley did not last long. Kamala's parents were far removed from the working class she is fond of remembering in her modern-day political speeches. They were academicians involved in heavy topics, spending their time on prestigious college campuses. Kamala Harris eventually accepted a research position in Montreal, and a 12-year-old Kamala and her sister were soon headed to Canada.
I spent many of my teenage years living in Montreal when my mother was teaching at McGill University and doing her research at the Jewish General Hospital there.
Harris attended a French-speaking private school, Notre Dame des Neiges, then Westmount High School, located in one of the richest neighborhoods in Montreal. During those years, the New York Times described Harris as a disco-dancing teenager who yearned to return to sunny California. And after attending Howard University in Washington, D.C., she did.
38-year-old Kamala Harris came out of nowhere and was swept into office as San Francisco's district attorney.
Her incredible rise to become San Francisco's first woman and first black district attorney was not only historic, but caught many by surprise.
She was virtually unknown when she entered the race earlier this year. Opponents tried to capitalize on the fact that she had once been Willie Brown's girlfriend, try to taint her as part of what they called the Willie Brown machine.
At age 29, Harris met 60-year-old Willie Brown and struck up an affair.
Are you his daughter? No, I'm not.
Brown happened to be the California Assembly Speaker, arguably the state's most powerful politician, and he went on to become the mayor of San Francisco. Brown showered Kamala Harris with lucrative big city positions: a $72,000 post at the Medical Assistance Commission, a $97,088 position on the Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board.
Her politics decidedly liberal.
One of her first tests came just days into her job when a San Francisco police officer was killed, leaving behind a little girl and a grieving widow.
He was laying there with his eyes closed, and I saw the blood here. And I walked over to him, and I was just like, wake up.
Just 29, Espinoza was gunned down with an AK-47 by a 21-year-old gang member. A new district attorney had just been elected in San Francisco, Kamala Harris, her first elected position. 3 days after Officer Espinoza's death, Harris held a news conference, pledging to keep a campaign promise: no death penalty.
I felt like she had just taken something from us. She had just taken justice from us, from Isaac.
Did she call you?
No, she never called me. I just don't understand how or why she would. You can't even wait till he's buried.
But in the courtroom, Kamala Harris meant business and earned her a reputation as tough on murderers, rapists, and child abusers.
And I said, when you go over there, look really mean. And so they did, and invariably the parents said, well, who's the mean-looking dude? And the principal would say, well, that's someone that mean DA Kamala Harris sent over here, because she says she's going to start prosecuting you if we can't work this out.
But her methods were not without controversy.
So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. Well, this was a little controversial in San Francisco.
She had a dose of power, a power that Kamala Harris was all too aware.
I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. And because of the swipe of my pen, that person could be arrested. They could sit in jail for at least 48 hours. They could lose time from work, and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community. All because of the swipe of my pen.
When we come back...
What is your position on San Francisco as a sanctuary city?
I support our sanctuary law.
Crimes by illegals spike in DA Kamala Harris's sanctuary city.
Israel is under attack.
Israel has been attacked like never before. Our skies are filled with rockets and drones. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews urgently needs your help to send out emergency teams across the Holy Land.
The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews needs your $45 gift to rush emergency aid to the people of Israel, struggling to survive day after day in bomb shelters.
We are bringing food, we are bringing emergency resources to save lives, but we can't do it alone. We need you to stand with Israel now.
Many have lost everything, with casualties on the rise. Tens of thousands of families desperately need emergency life-saving aid today.
Please don't wait. Now is the time to act.
Call, scan, or go online now.
Parents, another Trump presidency could become a reality in 2024. And Mike Huckabee wants to show your kids what that means with the free Kids Guide to President Trump and free membership to the 1776 Kids Club. Order now at freetrumpbundle.com. That's freetrumpbundle.com.
I am a big believer in super beta prostate. You'll notice less urges to urinate, and you won't be getting up at night for so many bathroom trips. I wouldn't say it if I didn't truly believe it.
At Spectrum Enterprise, we give over 80% of the Fortune 500 the technology solutions they need to meet their growing business demands. Whether it's ultra-fast connectivity, seamless transactions, safe and secure data, or reliable always-on technology, these businesses demand better, and we're here to deliver it. Get a network you can rely on with our 100% uptime SLA guarantee.
Illegal immigration, inflation, wokeness, America changing before our eyes. And failed leadership in Washington is to blame. Here in Guilford and Rockingham, Phil Berger is fighting back. Leading, delivering, unwavering. Phil Berger led the effort to cut our income taxes. Berger banned dangerous sanctuary cities. And Berger defended our police, supporting those who keep us safe. Phil Berger stands strong and gets the job done.
Real heroes.
Real conflict.
Real threats.
Real heart.
Now there's a place America gets its news.
No agenda.
Just the facts.
NewsMax.
Real news for real people.
As San Francisco DA, Kamala Harris launched an innovative program called Back on Track, aimed at allowing offenders of lesser crimes to avoid jail through boot camp job training and drug testing.
And Back on Track, as an initiative, has proven over the course of 4.5 years to reduce the recidivism or reoffense rate for that population from 54% to less than 10%.
But not perfect program, and because you're running for Attorney General and you're raising a lot of money, they're targeting you. And one of the things your critics have dug up is that there were some illegal immigrants involved in that program who got their felony convictions dropped.
A job training program she oversaw called Back on Track was blamed for allowing a 20-year-old illegal immigrant from Honduras, arrested for 2 previous crimes, to stay out of prison, later convicted in the brutal attack of a young woman.
Inherent in innovation means you're going to try to do something as it's never been done, but based on the idea that you can actually improve the system. So I created Back on Track. Did I figure out every scenario? No.
But it also allowed illegal immigrants arrested for drug crimes to get job training and have their records expunged, all while avoiding deportation because of the city's sanctuary policies. For her part, Harris shrugged off any criticism or accountability.
And so when I rolled out Back on Track, a couple of years in, we learned that there was a participant who went out during the time he was in the program, committed a robbery. There was a horrible injury to the victim, and turned out that this individual was an undocumented immigrant. And there was an article that was written and said, Kamala Harris has created a program to shield illegal aliens. All right?
What is your position on San Francisco as a sanctuary city?
I support our sanctuary law, and I also recognize that we got to a place that became highly publicized where we strayed from it, and so we needed to get back on track, pardon the overuse of that term.
Among other things, sanctuary laws ban local law enforcement to cooperate with federal immigration authorities. Kamala Harris's office defended San Francisco's sanctuary city status, saying, "We are a sanctuary city, a city of refuge, and we always will be." But she also took positions that put her at odds with immigrant activists, like requiring law enforcement to turn over undocumented juvenile immigrants to federal authorities if they were arrested and suspected of committing a felony. But her sanctuary city pro-illegal immigrant policies in deep blue California was a winning combination. And in 2010, Harris became California's Attorney General.
And I intend to fight. I intend to fight for our ideals. I intend to fight for a state that has the largest number of immigrants, documented and undocumented, of any state in this country.
Harris was leading the charge, making California a sanctuary state for illegal immigrants.
Catherine Steinle, only 32, by all accounts, a loving and wonderful daughter and sister, is dead this morning and should not be. Authorities say she was killed by this man, Francisco Sanchez, an illegal immigrant who had been deported 5 times and who federal authorities say should never have been on the street.
The suspect had 7 felony convictions and been deported multiple times, yet walked free in California. To add insult to injury, he was eventually acquitted of Steinle's murder. Critics charged Harris with helping create the sanctuary city policies leading to murders like Steinle's. While she was accused as being soft on illegal immigrants, Kamala Harris's office was decidedly tougher on nonviolent American prison inmates, many of them African-American men. The Daily Beast reported Harris's office fought to keep some nonviolent offenders incarcerated, despite a court ruling that urged their release because the prison system would lose a source of cheap labor to fight wildfires in the state. These minimum security inmates, Harris's office argued, would severely impact fire camp participation, a dangerous outcome while California is in the middle of a difficult fire season and severe drought. When confronted about the issue months later, Harris said she was shocked and was looking into it. When we come back, Kamala Harris makes California the first state to offer taxpayer-funded transgender surgeries to illegal immigrants.
Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Kamala wouldn't change a thing? Their weakness invited wars, welfare for illegals, while Americans struggle. Now Kamala wants higher taxes on top of higher prices. We can't afford 4 more years of Kamala.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
My team and I are always moving around our country to connect with so many great people. And as I've gotten older, well, the aches and pains have crept into all parts of my life. But I'm not ready to slow down. That's why I take Relief Factor. I feel the difference it makes in my life. Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
If pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. 100% drug-free, Relief Factor doesn't mask pain, it helps eliminate it. Get your 3-week quick start today for only $19.95.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm going to make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic MyPillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm going to offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen-size MyPillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size MyPillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Consumer Cellular is lowering the price for those 50 and up. Get 2 unlimited lines for $30 each. That's just $60 a month. So switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage satisfaction. Visit consumercellular.com today.
Omaha Steaks semi-annual sale is back. Save 50% site-wide on America's best steaks, chicken, burgers, and more. All backed by our 100% guarantee. Right now, you'll get 12 Omaha Steaks burgers free with your order. Visit omahasteaks.com/TV today.
Why pay too much for cable TV when it costs less for Fubo TV? Get all the channels you want with all the entertainment you love for the price that cable can't beat. Start watching at FuboTV.com.
Jolie is a filtered shower head, removing chlorine and other contaminants from your shower water. It feels like a very smart decision to make if you are a person who cares about your skin and your hair. When you feel good, you look good.
It is amazing to have a collagen. I used to have a probiotic, a green juice. I replaced it all with this Arma colostrum. And if you don't know what colostrum is, it is amazing. It is a bioactive whole food. It has all the essential nutrients you need for your skin, your gut, energy, focus, mood, performance, your hair, like immune system. It strengthens, supports all of that. The first thing I noticed was the energy and recovery that it had after workout. If you want to try it, try armor.com.
Tara lost 42 pounds with LifeMD.
I've struggled with my weight my entire life. I tried exercising, eating the healthiest of foods, but then the addiction side of the food comes back. I just searched for weight loss programs and LifeMD came up. You just take your shot. It doesn't feel like you're on a diet. What I wasn't expecting it to do was to shut off the food noise. I had gone from 237 to 195. This was life-altering, and if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
Check your eligibility in minutes at GetLifeMD.com.
So I was Attorney General of a border state. I went after the transnational gangs, the drug cartels, and human traffickers. I prosecuted them in case after case, and I won.
Kamala Harris often touts her record going after gangs on the campaign trail. And in 2011, Operation Gateway was one such effort, where 30 gang members were arrested primarily on gun charges. Other busts and prosecutions followed.
We are here this afternoon to announce the shutting down of one of the biggest and most organized threats to the safety of the Central Valley, and that is the Magana drug trafficking organization.
Her efforts helped California's violent crime rate drop 10% in Harris's first 4 years in office as Attorney General. However, it's not the whole story, because an investigation by Axios found that during Harris's last year in office, violent crime surged to a 6-year high. As she runs for president, her claims are coming under higher scrutiny, and it isn't the first time. All the way back in 2003, during her race for DA, Kamala Harris was confronted by her opponent, criminal defense attorney Bill Fazio, on a radio talk show over Harris's claims that she tried hundreds of serious and violent felonies.
How many cases have you tried? Can you tell us how many serious felonies you have tried? Can you tell us one?
I've tried about 50 cases, Mr. Fazio, and it's about leadership.
Ms. Harris, why does your information, which is still published, say that you tried hundreds of serious felonies? I think that's misleading. I think that's disingenuous. I think that shows that you are incapable of leadership and you're not to be trusted.
And in a move opposed by prison officials she was representing in her own state, Attorney General Kamala Harris worked to ensure illegal immigrants could receive gender transition surgery at taxpayers' expense.
I worked behind the scenes to not only make sure that that transgender woman got the services she was deserving, I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need.
Under Harris, California became the first state to offer such surgeries. Kamala Harris's meteoric rise in politics was just getting started. Deep blue California was the perfect stage for Kamala Harris's energy and ambitions. She set her sights on Washington, D.C.
I intend to fight. I intend to fight for Black Lives Matters. I intend to fight for truth and transparency and trust.
In 2016, Kamala Harris was elected to the United States Senate, promising stricter gun control, citizenship for illegal immigrants, federal legalization of cannabis, and climate justice.
I am supporting the Green New Deal.
Senator Harris co-sponsored the Green New Deal, a nearly $100 trillion spending initiative, which would radically reshape the U.S. economy in an attempt to address climate change.
Climate change is an existential threat to us, and we have got to deal with the reality of it.
When did climate change become a crisis for you?
When I was in elementary school.
Really?
Yeah, no, seriously. So I went to Thousand Oaks Elementary School in Berkeley, California. And we called them ecology projects. I came home one day, I was an elementary school student, and I was like, Mommy, I don't understand. So we don't like conservatives, but we're conservationists. And I couldn't understand how to reconcile the two.
Under Harris's bill, all gas-powered cars would be banned. International travel would be virtually impossible. It even alluded to going after hamburgers and steak dinners. As it stated, we aren't sure that we'll be able to fully get rid of farting cows and airplanes that fast. When we come back,
you're considered the most liberal United States senator.
Kamala Harris beats Bernie Sanders as she races to the left and continues her rise to political stardom.